Hey guys, welcome to Pistons Talk podcast post game show. Hope you guys are having a good Wednesday night after that Pistons win. If you guys are brand new here, what we do is we get into the game, we break down the quarters, and then after that, we take questions, comments, overall thoughts with this Detroit Pistons win tonight. So let's get into the first quarter. Don't want to waste your guys' time. I thought going into this game, obviously, the Magic were without Paolo Banchero, who's getting closer to returning, and Franz Wagner. But this is still a 20-win basketball team at the end of the day, and this is an Orlando team that plays very, very hard on the defensive end of the floor. And the Pistons came out defensively, I thought, in the first quarter, really active, like the way they were communicating. Um, and just the way that they were switching, the way that they were, going for loose balls, challenging shots, it never seemed like they were out of position in the first quarter. Really liked what I saw to them on the defensive end of the floor. The ball movement too, I do want to spend a couple of minutes on. Like when this team moves the ball, when it moves side to side, there were plenty of plays tonight where Tobias Harris was wide open in the corner for three, and Tobias did have a pretty a good game, had a bounce back game. Good to see him, do better. But I really liked what I saw out of the ball movement with the Detroit Pistons in the first quarter. Jaden Ivey played really well. We'll get into Jaden Ivey probably for a majority of this podcast. Jaden Ivey had 10 points in the first quarter, 2 out of 2 from three just in the first. So Jaden Ivey, obviously, he was coming back from injury and small sample size, but like he was shooting over 50% from three. Um, and it just looked like he couldn't miss tonight. He was getting to his spots, he was hitting 3 pointers. He was looking to set up his teammates. Really liked what I saw to Ivy in the first quarter. Tobias Harris had 7 points. I thought was really big because this was a game where Malik Beasley did not play his best brand of basketball for the Detroit Pistons. But overall, like Malik Beasley's been pretty solid for the most part. I don't want to rip on Beasley too much, but yeah, he only had 2 points. Tobias Harris, finished with 17. So it was good to see Tobias Harris have a bounce back game. But to end the first quarter, your Detroit Pistons had a 31-21 lead, which really crucial for this team to come out the gate and have great starts. Transitioning into the second quarter. Now, the Magic, this is where I want to give the Magic credit. They're such a good defensive team. And I think the Pistons, if you look at the turnovers, they had over 20 plus turnovers and they still found a way to win this game. What the Magic do such a great job of is they're a very tall, lengthy team and they just disrupt you. Playing in tight in the paint. I mean, the Magic were just, deflecting passes, getting steals, and giving them, opportunities to get back into the basketball game. Um, and they kind of cut into that lead with the Detroit Pistons. I really did like what I saw from just everybody trying to run, playing the transition game. We talked about it earlier this year about this is a very young athletic team. Why don't they run more? Why don't they play in transition more? I really I really liked what I saw out of the Pistons in the second quarter and in the first quarter. Just pushing the pace, playing that transition game. I mean, you have athletes like Jaden Ivey, Asar Thompson, that can run the floor really well, and I thought they did a good job of doing that. Jalen Duren, I also want to give kudos to. I thought this was one of his better offensive games. It seemed like every time I looked up, he was catching a lob. I feel like this is probably the one game where you could probably fact check it, look it up, but I felt like this was a game where Jalen Duren probably caught the most lobs in his young NBA career tonight. I mean, it just seemed like whether it was Ivy, whether it was Tobias, whether it was Asar, just passing him the ball and getting lobs. JD was really, really active tonight offensively, and I thought defensively he did a okay job. Pistons do keep a lead going into halftime, 65-49, and they had 18 assists in 2 quarters. Pretty good brand of basketball. Kind of tells you how they were moving the basketball, and the ball wasn't sticking. Coming out of halftime, um, the Magic, obviously were not going to go away. They're a very well coached team. They're a good basketball team. Um, and the Pistons turnover started to tick up. Coming out of halftime, and they really really struggled to get a shot for a majority of like the last 5 minutes. JD did tweak his ankle, but he did stay in the game. He had like a really really weird like awkward fall. He was trying to do a tip back dunk, and but he grabbed his ankle immediately. I'm glad that it wasn't too serious. He did finish the game. Jalen Suggs, started the heat fire. He got this game within 9 points. I mean, this was almost a 20-point lead at one time, and Orlando just surged and they cut the lead down. But to end the third quarter, the Pistons 84, Orlando 75. And this is probably what we're going to talk about for the majority of this podcast after I'm done kind of breaking down these quarters. Is Jaden Ivey rolled his ankle. That was really, really bad. Cole Anthony goes to make a play. He wasn't really anywhere near the ball. Jaden Ivey's ankle twisted, and then he got landed on. I don't want to speculate. I don't want to come up here and speculate with you guys, but if you've broken a bone in any point of your life, usually the first reaction is you scream, and that's exactly what Jaden Ivey did. No, I don't want to come up here and say he broke his ankle because I don't know that. I don't think anyone knows the status of Jaden Ivey. We'll probably learn more about it in the next 12 hours or so. But it looked like he did break something. I'm praying it's just a high ankle sprain. I'm praying it's just a sprain, not a broken bone. Because Jaden Ivey, for what it's worth this season, he's been playing really good ball, probably the best ball of his career with the Detroit Pistons. But that play was really gruesome to watch. I'm praying for him. I hope it's not a broken ankle or a broken leg, but I mean, he was on the court. The Pistons and the Magic kind of surrounded him for a good, 10, 15 minutes. And he had to get carried off on a stretcher, and they covered his whole leg, which is never a good sign. But I hope it's not a broken bone. But just in my experience, I've broken my collarbone, broken my arm. Usually, that kind of reaction when you scream like that and you're holding it right away, usually is a broken bone. But again, I do not want to speculate. Just in my experience, I don't know about any of you guys watching live right now on YouTube. If you've ever broken a bone at any point of your life, that's kind of the reaction you give. But um, again in the fourth, like too many turnovers. I felt like this was a game where we just did not take good care of the basketball. A lot of sloppy passes, and the Magic are just so active at just deflecting passes. I thought this was a game where we might not finish it out. We might not win the basketball game because the Magic were surging. But Tobias, I thought had hit timely shots to kind of pad the Pistons lead, and they do win this game. This actually snaps a 7-game losing streak versus Orlando, which I did not know Orlando had our number that bad. It's 2 times this year where we've broken streaks against teams. The Knicks was 16 straight games, and we snapped the Orlando Magic streak with 7 straight games. So the Pistons win 195 or 195, 105 to 96. If they scored 195 points, man, holy crap. I'm really tired. I do apologize, you guys, but um, we're gonna get into just the Jaden Ivey stuff. I'm sure you guys probably want to talk about it. Talk about this game. They get their 15th win of the season, which they only had 14 wins last season. So they're heading in the right direction. 15 in 18, 3 games under 500, and they have a home stretch coming up. Maybe they can get to 500 basketball. You never really know. But I do want to take a quick commercial break, take a sip of water, and then come back, talk with you guys about this Pistons victory, kind of get your overall thoughts on the game. Probably talk about Jaden Ivey as well, but we will be right back after this quick commercial break, you guys. Okay, guys, we are back. I want to get into comments and questions. This is the part of the podcast. If you guys have any overall thoughts, comments, questions about the game tonight, the floor is yours. I do have about seven or so starred. So we're going to get into them. I want to go to Michigan Made First. Had a comment about Jaden Ivey. It says, poor JI. He was having a great season, heartbroken, seeing everyone surrounded him as he's in serious pain. Yeah, honestly, man, like they won the game, but me coming up here tonight, like I feel very deflated. Like I feel like I should be in a better mood. But I'm not because that injury looks so bad. I'm praying for him. I'm praying that the injury wasn't too bad, but I'm happy that the Pistons did close out the game and get the victory for him. But I think a lot of us have the same just thoughts. Like it sucks that he had this injury tonight because he's just been playing such good ball over the since he's come back from a previous injury, a toe injury that he had. I mean, he's just been playing so well. JB is just kind of let him free, just let him just be the basketball player that I think a lot of us see him as. But overall, man, I just feel really deflated. I'm sure you guys do too. Rasheed Wallace's bald spot has a comment says Detroit is now the 9 seed in the East and only a half a game behind Indiana for the 8 seed position. Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you win basketball games, right? Yeah, 15 and 18, half a game out of the 8 seed, which I think a lot of us, especially on these post game podcasts, like I've told you guys, like the goal for this year should be playing tournament. And I think this is a team that has the possibility to be a play-in team. Now, we're going to have to wait and see what the update is on Jaden Ivey. But in the meantime, I feel like these guys can still, win basketball games. Can they keep pace of where they're at of, kind of flirting around that 10, 9, 8 seed? I'm not sure. But yeah, 15 wins, pretty good for the Pistons. I mean, they're on pace to win 37, 38 games this season, and they only won 14 the year before. So steps in the right direction for this ball club. But I think it is important that what Rasheed Wallace's bald spot brings up because, the Pistons draft pick this year is top 13 protected. They keep winning basketball games. They're going to have to surrender it to the Minnesota Timberwolves. So we're gonna have to wait and see what happens at the trade deadline. We're about a month away when it will end, but January 1st, 2025, man, what a way to start 2025 with the Pistons win. Ryan Boseman, does this injury end up making them more motivated to make a trade? Probably not. I don't think, even though that they have 15 wins and they're currently the ninth seed, I don't think this would force Trajan to like make a win now move. I think the Pistons will make trades at the deadline. I don't think this injury to Jaden Ivey automatically makes the Pistons, get on the phone and just try to get immediate help right now. Now, if this was a team that was, maybe a top four seed in the East, then yes, probably. But for right now, this is a year where I don't really think that, Trajan thought that the Pistons would be in this position so soon. Um, but I don't think they're gonna, get on the phone and try to find a replacement while Jaden Ivey is out with injury. I think you have guys that we're gonna talk about in a little bit that could step up in his role for however long he's out. And I want to get to Bobby's comment. Only takeaway is Sasser will get more minutes and possibly making his trade value better. Yeah, Marcus Sasser probably will get a bulk of those minutes. I could honestly see Ron Holland also getting some two guard minutes. That's a player that I think kind of projects as a 2-3, maybe play a window more there. I don't know. But with injury creates opportunity. And to your comment, raises his trade value. Yeah, I mean Marcus Sasser's in a weird position this year. Doesn't get a whole lot of clock unless it's garbage time where JB's looking for energy, but he definitely will see an uptick in minutes. Don't know if the Pistons are going to trade him at the deadline, but hey, I could be wrong there. He's a young guard that could score at all three levels, scrappy defensively, just a little undersized, but Sasser definitely will get more opportunity. Cruza being taken out on stretchers speaks volume. It does. It does. It really does. Like I said, I've broken several bones, playing sports, and they usually don't get you a wheelchair or a stretcher unless it's serious. But I'm hoping it's nothing too bad. But we're gonna have to wait and see what happens. I mean, you could even see, like JB Bickerstaff it is presser, like he was in tears. Like a lot of the players were, in tears with this injury. I mean, Cole Anthony, I know a lot of people like want to rag on him. Obviously, the play he made wasn't smart. He felt bad. Like he visibly was upset that Jade Navy got hurt. Basketball is such a fast-paced game, you guys. If you guys have played it at any level, you know how fast basketball is. I don't think Cole Anthony meant to hurt Jade Ivey. I know I see some people asking, is Cole Anthony a dirty player? No, Cole Anthony's not a dirty player. Now, if it was other players in the NBA that like Draymond's, Grayson Allen, then yeah, you could have those conversations. But I don't think Cole Anthony meant to hurt Jade Ivey. He was just trying to get the basketball back. He wasn't anywhere near it, but basketball is just a really bang bang sport, really fast paced. Red Baron, this game was just ugly all around. Turnovers, injuries, sloppy lob passes, etc. Duran, Cade, Tobias, Asar, THJ played solid, and Ivy was on track for his best scoring game of the year. I agree. I thought the turnovers were really bad. The sloppy lobs, like I get you want to, push the pace in transition. You want to get some easy baskets, but you have to know your personnel. And you just played one of the best teams in the NBA, best defensive teams in the NBA, I should say, that are very good at deflecting passes and forcing turnovers. Like I think 23 or 24 turnovers tonight by the Pistons just because of the Magic. And I mean, the Magic are without Paulo Banchero and Franz Wagner. A lot of these are, bench players doing this, starters doing this. But really happy with Duran. I thought this was a game where he looked good. Tobias Harris had a bounce back game. THJ did pretty well. And I agree. I think Ivy was on track for at least a 30 ball. He just was playing with so much confidence. His shot was falling. Defensively, I thought, you know, it was better. Um, really sucks to, see him go down tonight, though. Tony J, it was a sad moment, but seeing how much all the players on both teams care about him was beautiful. Yeah, because like at the end of the day, Tony, none of these players want to see whether it's their teammates or opposing players. Like the NBA is a brotherhood at the end of the day, and it just shows you both sides were praying for him immediately. Um, because you never know how serious that injury could be long term. You just don't know. We're really gonna have to wait and see what happens. But it was nice to see both sides just kind of taking it back and just making sure he was okay, making sure he was good. And I'm really happy that I don't mean to rag, but like I'm really happy that people that were at LCA tonight chanted his name and not the Lions quarterback's name like they did when Tim Hardaway Jr. was gushing blood on the court. I'm glad Pistons fans chanted Jaden Ivey's name. Now, obviously, they still chanted Jared Goff in the fourth quarter, but much respect to Pistons fans down there. It's just I'm not going to get into the Goff chants because I'm a Lions fan. I love Jared Goff, love the Lions, love all my Detroit sports teams, but the last time that the Pistons had an injury, Tim Hardaway Jr. was gushing blood, and they're chanting Jared Goff against the Miami Heat game earlier this year. But just a little rant. Cole was kind of smiling when Ivu was being tended to. Am I tripping? See, I thought that too, Mario. But like the more I looked at it, it was more of him just like crying. He was like visibly upset. I had to like rewatch it because I felt the same thing when I was looking at Cole Anthony as the cameras were pointed towards him. I don't think he was smiling. I think he was just upset at the end of the day. Do want to get to a couple more of these, comments and questions with you guys. Bobby Klitman needs to come in soon. I think he will. G-Far, I just don't know when. I don't really know what the long-term plans for Bobby are this year. I don't know if it's, just get some, G League reps and, case of emergency if, a power forward isn't available. Like there was no Simone tonight and Bobby was not with the team, obviously. I think he's with the Motor City Cruise right now, but it was just Tobias and, basically Asar all night because there was no Simone Fontecchio because he was out due to personal reasons. There isn't one person on our team currently that can replace what Ivy gives us, either bring in a really good player via trade or tank the season. See, I don't think it's that drastic, Corey, but I do agree with you. There isn't one person on the current roster that can replace Ivy. Now, we do have the trading deadline coming up. I do agree with you. I think they will be active. They will probably look to add some talent and some draft picks. Trajan has been very, very really, I should say, vocal about getting capital and assets. I assume maybe you throw Malik Beasley in the starting lineup at shooting guard. Maybe you throw Tim Hardaway Jr. You slot him over at shooting guard, and maybe you have Ron Holland or Asar start at small forward. I think Beasley's going to get more opportunity. Sasser's going to get more opportunity. There definitely will be a starting lineup change, in my opinion. We definitely need more ball handling now. We need to start Asar even more because of that. Yeah, I think so. I think so too, Tony. Especially with like you're not going to be able to replace like Jaden Ivey's talent, the way he can just distribute the basketball, push the pace in transition, having another ball handler. I think starting Asar or making a starting lineup change to insert him in there makes a whole lot of sense. I think JB will probably still like to have Tim Hardaway Jr. in the starting lineup and Beasley off the bench just to kind of have that scoring punch. But I don't really expect a starting lineup change where it's so drastic where it's not the same one that we've had for a majority of the season. Um, but I don't know. Maybe they start Beasley, maybe they don't. Maybe they, slot THJ over to shooting guard because he's been playing small forward for a majority of the year. I'm not really sure. I see some people saying Lonzo would be nice. Um, I mean, he's available. I mean, we talked about it with Pistons Jack a couple weeks ago. Like Lonzo Ball is available if you want to go get him. And the Bulls are just looking to offsell in a lot of their guys. He would help, but I don't really know where Lonzo's at this stage of his career. Obviously, missing a lot of time with the knee injury. I don't know if he's the same type of player as he was before those knee injuries. I'm just not sure. Um, but I do want to say this, you guys. The Pistons will be active at the trade deadline. There are a lot of teams that want to make deals with the Pistons because they have available cap space, and a lot of these teams want to get out of just the cap space hell that they put themselves in. Now, I think the Pistons can still take on a bigger contract and get a quality starter. Um, if that's the route they want to take, whether that's backup point guard. Now you look at shooting guard because Ivy is injured. Maybe look at maybe more rim protection. I think there are a lot of options out there, and obviously, we'll probably talk about that for the next month or so. As the trading deadline, it's becoming more and more entertaining by the day because we're getting more rumors. Like there's report out with Brandon Ingram today that the asking price might not be as high as some people think. Zion Williamson is available. Malcolm Brogdon, Jonas Valanciunas. There's just so many names. I can't even name all of them off the top of my head. It's a lot to keep up with, but um, I just want to tell you guys that I think this will be a very active trade deadline for your Pistons because they have all the cards. They have that cap space. They're the only team in the NBA that has $14 million in cap space, and they have an available roster spot available. So I expect Trajan Langdon and the new Pistons front office to be very active. I don't know if they're going to automatically try to replace Jaden Ivey because of this injury, but I do expect them to be active at this deadline. But I appreciate you guys being on for the last 30 minutes. We got 170 people in here. Shout out to you guys. I'm going to wrap this up. See you guys later throughout the week and probably on the weekend as well. Appreciate you guys, tapping on in. Your Pistons do win this game, though, 105-96. Get their 15th win of the season and snap a 7-game losing streak versus the Orlando Magic. I'll see you guys later this week. Take care and go Pistons.